prime example to me in many areas, especially when it comes to lifestyle. Mrs. Grace Brunke Adegoke is an advanced nurse practitioner. She's a nutritionist and she's also a businesswoman. And she's run some catering services. In fact, I think she still does that, despite the fact that she's practicing full time as a nurse. But she's very passionate about chronic disease management, and she believes that fitness, food, and optimum nutrition play key roles in health outcomes. She teaches healthy eating and cooking, both in practice and in the community. Grace Adokeke has a huge passion for health promotion and prevention of diseases. She dreams of a world where affordable and quality healthcare will be accessible to every human being. So I give to you this evening Mrs. Grace Adegoke. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ore. That's a beautiful intro. Thank you, and I want to welcome everyone. I'm not going to need to introduce myself again, and I can see so many people coming up, and I'm so happy. And let me just let you into a secret. This is one of the things I've worked towards since I have a passion in food. I think I was 8 years old since I was making jollof rice and stuff like that. But as God will have it, He puts me in the medical line, and not just practicing, bedside, consulting, diagnosing, and prescribing to patients in general practice in UK. And I pushed myself and went on and studied public health nutrition. So enough said. I'm just going to go straight and follow my notes, so I don't deviate from the plan. And of course, because I can talk about this issue till thy kingdom come. So I have some icebreakers here. I wish these were interactive. Of course, COVID will not let us sit down together in one room, but this is still a room, so we are going to maximize. If you have any question, just put it into the chat and Dr. Ore can interject, so that we talk about what people want to know, not just what the agenda is all about. And that is the plan. So why do we eat? That's the question. And I feel that's a kind of an icebreaker, because many people have different reasons for why they eat. But I suppose general reason is to feed the tummy because we are hungry. So you are supposed to be answering those questions, but it's not going to work with the answers in the preamble for Zoom event. So, and what do we eat?
They can put the answers to the question in the chat box.
Good. Okay. Yeah, and we can review that at the end of the program. So, and what do we eat? So these are part of the things that we're going to talk about as we move on in the program. So also talking about cooking methods, food portions, global trend around food, and especially the trend in Nigeria or amidst the Black ethnic minority, whether we're at home or abroad. Okay, and do you think you are eating well? And why do you think that? Is there anything that you think you can change? Your attitude towards food, perhaps, or just an overall about what you are eating generally. And as Dr. Ore has already said, the Greek doctor, the father of medicine, Hippocrates, in the 400 BC, he said that profound statement, "Let food be thy medicine." This guy is regarded as the father of the modern day medicine. So since when he was around 400 BC, he already said that, So part of my icebreaker is to ask you who said that, but she already said that, so I repeated. I don't have to ask you that question. And when was it said? Already done. And to whom was it said? And I think that is the question that is left for us to answer. Okay, so the father of medicine, the Greek physician, he learned the act of medicine from his own father and passed it down to his two sons, and established the first medical school. And with all of his work, his acumen, his brilliance, he still said that statement, let food be thy medicine. And today, when we look into our practices around food, is food truly our medicine? And that is the question that we need to explore and debunk tonight. So, as part of my introduction, food is the information that transforms our biology with every bite that we take, and activating the potential to either be healed or for healing, or creating imbalance that cause diseases. So let food be thy medicine. There are some YouTube videos that I want to encourage us to go and see. If you have a pen, write it down, or it will come back to you, or you can ask us later anywhere, wherever you find me or see me or Dr. Ray. Doctor in the House, one of the GPs in this country where I live, the United Kingdom. In fact, Dr. Chatterjee is also in my region. Okay, so I like you to go and check those videos, and you will then see where I'm coming from. So everybody have access to YouTube nowadays. So, and this father of medicine also said something else. All diseases start from the gut. So the food that we eat, is it not going into our gut? So food, gut, diseases, medicine. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and let's get started. That was the preamble. So the statement that was made by this guy, as he said, he also had a compilation of writings, so many years ago, about the nature or understanding of how our body works and the diseases as well. And his lasting legacy is the Hippocratic Oath that all doctors take. So if this guy has so much influence on the medicine that we practice today, and he said those two sentences or statements that we've already quoted, what do you think about food and wellness and medicine? Okay, so his practices and his ethical practices, especially his standards, serves us as a moral guide, and for the physicians or the doctors today. And they'll take the oath at the beginning of their career. Okay, so if they are taking the Hippocratic Oath of this father of medicine, and one of his statements is, let food be thy medicine. Why this is very important to me and to Dr. Ore, because we have a similar passion in regards to lifestyle medicine. And a few years ago, myself and a group of medical missionaries, I'll call it, we organized some mission to Nigeria, and this flyer or poster was made. And of course, we printed them in thousands. I don't want to exaggerate and say billion, but they were lots of thousands. And we push it. This was just a side project in my nutrition career. And it's so simple that I will send you the electronic version and push it out to people, because it's still relevant today. But the reason why I'm bringing these out is basically what the WHO said about the reason why we're doing this today. WHO said a few years ago that in the year 2015, we're now in 2020, aren't we? So that was 5 years ago. The prediction of WHO is that if nothing is done, about 28 million people in African region will die from lifestyle related diseases. such as hypertension, stroke, diabetes, obesity, and so many other. But these prediction already came, to be 3 years earlier, when about 35 million people actually died worldwide, and 80% of them were from developing countries, actually from African regions. And this flyer says, if we do these few sensible steps, that will be sensible indeed. Because if we don't do anything about it, imagine in 2015, these flyers were printed in 2013 and pushed to thousands of people in different regions of Nigeria. And of course, we can't save Nigeria all by ourselves on our own. And that's why we're collaborating to do this again. And of course, it's even much more important to do this now than ever in Nigeria. We took thousands, Dr. Ray, you saw this when you came, a couple of years ago. A lot of data asking people, what do you eat, and we were picking up high blood pressure in people who are in their 30s, dangerously high blood pressure, and educated people as well. It's not just the illiterates. In fact, I think the illiterates, because they live moderate life, they don't overdo anything, especially in the area of food and drinks. They are fine to some extent. It's people who are educated, who have status symbol, who are rich or have disposable income that are very, very affected, So I'm going to carry on having introduced that to you. Why? That is the main reason why the passion is huge to push this out. But I tell you what, this is not about Africa or Nigeria. This is about every living being that is sleeping, waking, eating, and drinking. Full stop. I use some of the skills that God has given me over the years in general practice, in the community where God has placed me, set up health checks and stuff like that in small conferences and big conferences. So, and this involves both black, white, yellow, orange. It doesn't matter what ethnic minority you are, because as we go along in this evening, you will find out that everyone is eating. That's not a secret, is it? So it doesn't matter who you are still eating. Now, when we eat, we sleep, we wake. There are thousands of metabolic processes that is going on in our body on daily basis for homeostasis. And that's just balancing in the body, chemical balance. And because of these processes, DNAs get damaged, they get repaired. Think of it like a car. You use it, you have to maintain it, there is repair work to be done. So underneath the body, I'm laying this foundation so that when I begin to say, oh, eat this, don't eat that, then it will make sense. Okay, because this is not a lecture, this is just to encourage us to kind of health promotion, as we said earlier on, to help us to adjust what we eat, to think about what we eat, to change what is not perfect or you think there is room for improvement. So DNA get damaged, but they need repair. Okay, so each time we eat, the byproduct of this metabolism, how the food is broken down in the system, they damage the DNA. So, and our lifestyles, and the free radicals in the environment, the fumes, the carbon emission, the Okadas, the trailers, the Ajagbes, all the cars on the road, they emit fumes. All of those also damage our DNA. Okay, now something need to mop them up, and these are nutrients from what we eat. When we live and breathe and sleep and do all these things, processes, DNA breaking down, and nothing is repairing the damage, that is why diseases begin to set in. Okay, and these are lifestyle related diseases, mainly that we will talk about today. So, but the main thing here is how fast you can repair the damage is what is important. If you are not repairing the damage, you know, there is mutation. Your DNA, your gene get damaged, and that's it, and they stay like that. And the mutation basically is the fact that those DNA become stubborn in the state they are, and they are your destiny, and you begin to pass them on from generation to generation. And doing a lot of research in the area of Black ethnic minority has opened my eyes to why there is stroke in the Black community, why there is hypertension, why there is this, why there is that. And for a continent of Africa that is deemed to be poor, why are we still having all of these problems? Okay, now, how fast are we repairing the damage? And that is the important question. Yorubas will say, ohun tí ẹyẹ bá jẹ ni ẹyẹ ń gbé fò. So the translation of that is, a bird only fly on the basis of what it has eaten. So if my culture cares about about birds, to the extent of knowing and determining that if this bird isn't eating well, it's not going to be able to fly. The same things apply to us as human beings. So what you've put in your system, what you have ingested, what you have eaten, is what is going to help you to fly, to live, to breathe. You know, a good example is magnesium. Magnesium is very, very plenty in green leafy vegetables. But if you don't eat them, then that means you're not going to have enough magnesium. And when you look at magnesium, for most people on this platform, I can see that you've gone through secondary school. And there is what is called mitochondria, the powerhouse, the engine house. Like most people have generating plants or house in Nigeria, in some other parts of the world. So that is your mitochondria. Your mitochondria cannot do its job without magnesium. So if you're not eating magnesium, as one example, you'll be tired because you won't have energy. Okay, so that's one. Two, the issue of vitamin D that we've seen a lot of over the media with the COVID, and why many Black people are dying because of COVID, especially Black people in diaspora, because they are living in an environment that isn't very sunny. You know, they are so far from the equator. There isn't plenty of sun. You know, for instance, in a country like this where I am, you know, or Europe, for instance, part of the Europe. So vitamin D is also, as research has shown us, is present in every cell of the body. So the question is, if this part of your body does not need vitamin D, what is the receptor cells of vitamin D doing there? So nature is so kind that when your DNAs are damaged and they need repairs, the nature will move that nutrients from where it is, where it's not urgent, and take it to where the body needs it the most. However, this is the snag. You carry on suffering the deficiency because where the body thinks this is not urgent, it's in your age, old age. Your age, it catches up when you're 50, 60, 70, especially in your 60s and 70s. So this DNA get damaged within that particular area, and then they're not repaired. And as I said earlier on, mutation happen, and of course, old age diseases set in. And because they still constantly unrepaired, it becomes a thing. And your internal organs age quite early. Therefore, they are tired early and they pack up early, and resulting in disease conditions. So I'm going to move on to the next thing. WHO has done a few things in the area of food and lifestyle, and unfortunately, whether this is a debate, whether there are resources or there are no resources in African region to institute all these changes, remains to be answered. But the main thing about what we are going to be saying tonight is the fact that if you let those deficiency in your nutrients persists, the mutation persists, and then the damaged gene and DNA or gene get passed down to your children and to your grandchildren. So if you're not eating well for yourself, you need to start eating well for the generations to come. Okay, and that's why I said children also need to come on board and listen to this tonight, because they also need to eat well for your grandchildren. Okay, now the global trend around food, the so-called obesogenic diet, needless to say, has become a pandemic. Every region of the world, every part of the world is obese. High calorie, refined carbohydrates, sugar, processed food, packaged food, you know, all in very, very low in micronutrients. And I've only mentioned vitamin D and magnesium. There are so many, about 40 something micronutrients that we need to function on daily basis. And of course, emphasis on different nutrients at different age, but there are certain nutrients that everybody must make sure they have. Okay, so these obesogenic diets, as we said, you know, they are refined food and processed, over-processed. So they are full of sugar, full of salts and trans fats and saturated fat, all of those things that we already know are not good for us. But the food industry is all about business, not health. So you have to now be your own person and select the right type of food for you. This breaks my heart because, you know, as I said before, the data that we collected, thousands of data, you know, the convention was done in Obesogenic years ago, and we hired 22 nurses to assist us to do cardiovascular risk. We had so many of these events in Abuja, in Lagos, and some other parts. And no part of Nigeria, for instance, is different. The same thing is happening in Zimbabwe, in Ethiopia, in Angola, in India, in Barbados. Some years ago, you know, I had a project in Barbados about in regard to nutrition. 50% of the people living in Barbados are hypertensive. 50%. That's the part of Caribbean. Okay, these people are black people. They probably originate from Nigeria or West Africa or some other part of Africa, so to speak. So there is already some mutation within our gene that is being passed down, you know, as a result of what we've gone through, or our fathers or forefathers or some people have gone through, and they've passed it down from generation. And that's why we have all these rampant black persons disease and that. It's like a plague, and we need to break that, like a curse, basically. We need to break it. So now this is where the fun begins. The portion sizes. I think I'm going to cherry pick on my material, things I've already put down. One of the things that scares me the most is the portion sizes of food, and especially fruits. And please, let's listen to this. Fruit is good, and as we've already been told in Western culture or countries, to eat 5 a day. Basically, 3 portions of vegetable and 2 of fruit from morning till night, not more than 2. At the moment, things are changing in the eat well plates. You know, the UK eat well plates look like this, and if you can see a little bit into that diagram, you can see the colors. The green signifies mainly vegetables. And I'm going back on the fruit. You know, we all know about sugar in food or carbohydrates. So fruit also is a form of carb, so to speak, because there is sugar in fruits, and it's fructose. So in carbohydrate, we have glucose. In fruit, we have fructose. In milk, we have lactose. In what other places we have the O's? Okay, so where you see all those O's, they simply mean sugar. So carbohydrates Glucose means sugar. When it gets into your body, body interprets it as sugar, full stop. And that's why portion sizes comes into this, because one of the things we are supposed to do today or achieve is about portion sizes. And of course, we don't have all day to talk about that, but I'm going to go quickly and briefly about sizes. When I was growing up in Nigeria, maybe you too think back into your childhood for a minute and think about what you were eating then, or what we were eating then, and what we're eating now, and what's different. Now, we have so many tropical fruits in abundance, and they are the ones that are laden, that are heavy with sugar and hence calorie. So calorie means weight in simple terms. So it doesn't matter where that calorie is from, whether it's from your lactose, glucose, fructose, or your protein as well, which are all parts of my macronutrients, those big ones that we all need for energy, your fat and oil and things like that. But the quantity that we now eat is what is important. Now, I've seen people eat a bunch of banana. Does anybody know what the right amount of banana is that you should eat? The portion of banana that you should eat. Okay, so you can put your answer on the chat. And while you put your answer, I'm not going to shock you. It's just one medium-sized banana. I've had situations when myself, if I go to the shop and I see big bananas, I don't buy them because I've eaten half a banana before. Okay, so if you've eaten half a banana now, or one medium-sized banana, and we will be shocked about the amount, the equivalent of sugar in one banana. So some people will also eat apple. One apple a day, as they say, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Maybe we should just eat one portion of fruit a day because of fructose. Because anytime we ingest fructose or sugar from any form of food, it pushes the insulin up in the body. And insulin is a growth hormone. Insulin makes you grow, make you big. And that's why even from the introduction, metabolic syndrome is a precursor to diabetes. And metabolic syndrome is basically insulin resistance, because you're eating so much sugar, either from fruit. I'm making emphasis on fruit now because I know what people are eating as part of the data that we collected, and also I grew up in the culture in Nigeria. In fact, we would climb up the tree of mangoes, shake the tree down and fill a bucket with mangoes and sit down and eat it as if we were eating lunch, And the amount of mango you are supposed to eat. When you hold the mango in your hand, you slice one part of that one portion that you should eat at one given time. So in my house, when we want to eat mango, we share one mango. Okay, so that's one area. And your juice, your orange juice, I've forgotten the name of all those fancy words of juices in Nigeria. We were in somebody's mother's burial, and this 6-feet table was too small for the array of juices and soda and pops that were put on the table for us. Of course, we didn't touch them. And also cocktails were being made. And right there, we saw people drinking all of that. You are basically ingesting sugar, and sugar is pushing your insulin up, and plenty of insulin, your body cannot deal with it, because your pancreas is getting tired, your body is resisting the insulin, and your tummy is getting big. That's number 2 of metabolic syndrome. And also your blood pressure is going up slowly. And also your cholesterol is going up from other things as well. So, and PM, you just need one more thing and you are in full-blown diabetes. And that's another reason why diabetes is so common amongst our people. So let's stop eating those fruits. However, The same sugar you have in fruits, you have the same exact amount of sugar, like 10 cubes in a 330 ml of Coca-Cola. Okay? So when you're drinking Coke or fruit juice, which one should you pick? One of them is just sugar. The other one on my left hand is the fruit juice. It's got sugar as well. By the way, this is the right size of glass for orange juice or any juice at all. 250 ml or less. If I want to drink juice, I will mix it with water. I can't remember when last I drank juice. I made my own apple juice from the apple tree I planted and diluted, maybe whenever I remember I need a juice. Okay, so that's just an example, but your juice or your fruit have nutrients in it. But don't forget that you can get that nutrient from somewhere else. Your vitamin C, you can get it from your lemon, from your lime, from parts of your vegetables, so you can avoid the sugar. I'm not saying don't drink juice, drink the right amount. If you have 1 glass of juice like this with your breakfast, you are only allowed 1 more piece of fruit for the rest of the day. Full stop. Okay, so I have the sizes or the portion sizes, what counts as a portion of fruits. But I'm not going to dwell too much on that because there's so much other things that we need to do, and I'm watching the time myself. So basically, I'm going to do other videos in depth about these things. So if you want to watch them, you can watch them. Okay, so we said eat 1 banana at a time, not 2. Certainly not a whole bunch. An apple, not 2 or not a couple. 1 medium-sized orange. Okay. Any of those big fruit like the other one is pineapple and melon. The red one in Nigeria. You only have a slice of those big fruits the size of the palm of your hand. Okay, if you are eating more than that size at one given time, then you are basically indirectly ingesting sugar. And as we go on, we will soon find out more things that sugar do in the body. And maybe I should say this now that I'm on the sugar case. Sugar feeds cancer. When I was growing up, when I went through my training in Nigeria, my husband is a doctor as well. We never see cases of cancer. I think the only case of cancer I saw was in UCH bucket lymphoma, which is a children cancer and is specific to Africa because of a virus. Okay, so people now having ovarian cancer, prostate cancer, colorectal, bowel cancer, breast cancer. One of my classmates died of breast cancer years ago. I think she must have been just 30 then. So when we were growing up, we didn't know any of that. The obesogenic diets, the high sugar, I'm making emphasis on the sugar now more than anything, and please bear with me. Do you know that when people have cancer and they want to do tests, what they call PET scan, they push sugar into the system? You and I need energy. We need glucose, carbs, some level of energy, some level of calorie, glucose for energy. So also those cancer cells. So the more sugar you take, either from your Coca-Cola, your Farooz, your orange juice, your apple juice, your what other juice, your Pepsi, your Fanta, even your orange fresh juice, the more of it you take, you are feeding all those cancer cells. And the secret about cancer is this: it is an open secret. One of my supervisors in my nutrition was a twin, and she's fine, but her twin sister had cancer. The statistics is 1 out of 2 persons walking around we have cancer, because every cell of our body has the capacity for, you know, for radicalization. Don't think religion is the only place where there is radicalization. Cells can go haywire and, you know, think that they just want to grow anyway, anyhow they like. So as you're feeding your body with sugar, either you think it's good, because that's why I put in part of my information to social media. Ignorance also can be a cause of this. So ignorance is a reason. Globalization, nutritional transition as a result of globalization. When I was in school, we were given a topic and say, civilization, a blessing or a curse? Discuss. I mean, you all know I'm 50 years old. Maybe not all of you. I turned 50 in June. And I was a teenager when we were discussing that topic. Imagine how far we have gone from then, when we thought that civilization was a cause and a curse. Imagine what it is now. And because we don't have enough resources, or we have enough resources but they are misused. So misused resources, which is not stretching, you know, which is not being used to deal. We don't have resources to deal with all of this within our ethnic minority. And even in the Western culture or Western countries, they don't have the resources too. It's just that their government care for their people. You know, there is lots of health promotion, risk assessments, and investigation in place to preempt all of these problems before they happen. And as soon as they happen, they deal with it. But within our Black community, nobody is doing any investigation for anybody. We did the only cervical pap smear that I know of en masse for some villagers in Abuja in one of our missions. And some members of one big organization pay for all the analysis. Very, very expensive. We gave our services and some other people too to take the sample and stuff. But nobody is dealing with that, you know. So, but if you're feeding your body with processed food that is lacking in nutrients, you know, no micronutrients, to mop up all those free radical cells, you know, to keep you going, you are just feeding the cancer cells. This year alone, within us, we know some people have died of bowel cancer. You and I know. And we have celebrities, fit people. So sometimes ignorance can kill. Okay, so something else I wanted to say is, when they do that PET scan, the cancer cells rush straight to the sugar during the tests. It's like a bait, you know, when you're fishing. You put the bait there and the fish go there, you know. So, and that's what happened when somebody already has cancer and they're trying to see where those cancer cells are. They go to where the glucose is. But if you starve the cancer of the sugar, then that's half the battle. And that's why some radical people will just go straight on vegetable diet when they have cancer. It makes sense. Okay. So, and that takes me back to what the most percentage of your food should be. Vegetable, green leaves, green vegetables. If you are not filling your bowl like a cereal bowl with green vegetables, lettuces, spinach, beets, kale, collard, green, you know, all of those green leaves, you know, non-starchy vegetable as they are called. If you are not filling a bowl every day, you're probably lacking in some micronutrients. And some of these micronutrients, one of my videos I did in August for the OFNC conference, I was addressing micronutrients. Please go and watch it. And another reason I think why some other problem is very, very rampant within our community is the fact that, you know, the micronutrients, as we were saying, your vitamin K, especially K2, is necessary to keep your vessels, your veins clean of crystals. And you get this from your green leaves. Your calcium, you're eating calcium, right, for your bone health. If you are advancing in age, you are at the risk of osteoporosis, especially women, because estrogen is removed from our system in menopause. So you need calcium, you need vitamin D, you need magnesium, and some other bone protecting minerals. However, if you have those calcium, anybody now, and you don't have vitamin K, then calcium begin to roam around in your vessel, in your blood, in your arteries or veins, and cause what they call atherosclerosis and plaques, basically crystals. You know what calcium is like. Just imagine calcium is like crystals, you know. So it stays there, make your vessel to be narrow, and again leading to all these cardiovascular diseases, i.e. stroke, high blood pressure, then followed by stroke and some other issues. Okay. Now, again, when your DNA remains damaged due to lack of micronutrients, you begin to develop all these old age degenerative diseases. Alzheimer's disease, and something else that I've noticed that is common, I've begun to pick little here and there amongst Black community, is the vascular dementia. The same principle basically that I've just explained. Lack of vitamin K, your calcium is not that it's too much, but something needs to move it from where it is into the muscles and the bones where it's needed. Otherwise, it stays and roam around in your blood. And that's causing another problem because another lack of another nutrient is happening. So I discovered I was lactose free, intolerant, a few years back, and gluten intolerant. Do you know what? Nature is so kind. And this morning I was thinking about that, and I think God is protecting me. And I think God is protecting you too by listening to this, because as I said at the beginning, this is like everything I've lived for all my life. To push whatever knowledge and messages that I have or I know, especially within the Black and ethnic minority. We are not the only one. Different diseases are common in different minority ethnic groups. And do you know what? Though there is plenty of sunshine in Nigeria, but people can still lack vitamin D because they lack something else. So their body cannot utilize vitamin D. And that's why when I was growing up, we noticed a lot of people with bow leg. Is because they cannot absorb vitamin D. So, and that is going back to the DNA or the gene, because there is a variant of gene that causes that. And they found this variant amongst Nigerians, even in the United States and in other parts of the country. So let's go back to the lactose, which is the milk sugar, the sugar in milk, So there is something about anything with sugar. It doesn't mean that you are adding cubes of sugar. It's just that food itself, the body recognizes it as sugar when it gets into your body. And that's why you need to turn down anything that says glucose, lactose, fructose, lactose in form of animal dairy product. I became intolerant to that. And I haven't missed it since I stopped eating it. I'm not advocating that you should stop, but there is something that you should know about whey protein. Whey protein, that's the protein within the milk. It acts a bit like insulin, like a growth factor, growth hormone factor. And that's why in the fitness industry, they use supplement with whey protein to build muscles, because it's making them big. And again, the problem, as we said, with insulin resistance, plenty of sugar leading to insulin resistance. It's not just about diabetes or high blood pressure and all of that metabolic syndrome. It's also about cancer. Because the sugar is feeding cancer, insulin also is feeding cancer. So when there is plenty of insulin, it's growing the cancer cells and feeding them. And that's why do all you can to dial down whatever you are eating that is deemed to be high in sugar, whether lactose, fructose, or glucose. Okay, now let's go down to statistics. When we were growing up, I said before, there are certain things that Nigerians have stopped doing, or people all over the world. This is not just about Nigerians, because I appreciate the fact that some people have come from different parts of social media to listen to this, and I'm grateful, that we're doing something and we're making a difference. Okay, and when you think, I hope you're thinking about your childhood and what Nigerians have stopped doing, or what your culture, whether you are from India, what you've stopped doing. Because of globalization, there are all these convenient food shops, eateries. I don't want to mention any brand in particular, but they are selling fast food, processed food, and they are full of sugar and everything. I have some things here I could share with you about that. Even just eating ketchup, the normal lasagna sauce or ketchup, you have about 6 cubes of sugar in your sauce, let alone the actual food that they're serving it with. That's just an example of where sugar is hiding, so let's keep that to hand. And because of this shift in nutritional culture, people are now thinking, let's start eating like the West eat. So we are imbibing the culture, the full culture of the West, which they've started turning away from since the 50s or even earlier. If you go and check on WHO statistics, since WHO established some initiatives to reverse this problem that we're talking about today that is now rampant in developing countries, they've started reversing it before I was born in the West. Now, our eyes have suddenly opened to westernization, and we're imbibing this. And I'm not just talking to black people, I'm talking to white, Caucasian, Asian people from wherever you are and listening to this or watching this afterwards. Whether you're Western or you're Westernized, we are all facing the same problem. And I mentioned about this bucket lymphoma before. A very renowned doctor, Dennis Bucket, he spent 20 years in Africa. He found that virus that caused that lymphoma in children, a cancer. And another thing that he actually found is that the Africans, they never had bowel cancer. And bowel cancer was already on the rise in the UK. This guy was an Irish guy. So, and he began to find out why. Because these people were eating their own food. They were growing it, not processed food. Fibrous, good fiber. So fiber is like a broom that sweeps your bowel clean of all the toxic, nasty things. So if you're not eating fiber by bucket loads on daily basis, colorectal cancer, bowel cancer is already very common in the black race. You can imagine how fast it can then develop, because the poo, that's why they call it waste. It's not supposed to be in your body. If you are constipated for more than a week and you are sitting on it and not doing anything, the waste is already intoxicating and causing damages within your system. You need to get rid of the waste, the poo. And fiber will do that for you. Fiber will push down your poo to where it needs to go, reducing the time the poo spends in your body. So fibrous food, it's not only just for preventing cancer, it's also good for controlling your cholesterol. 2 different types of fibers there. So I also have already done 2 videos in this regard, because that cancer issue is a big issue. Okay, now let me just bring this as the scenario to you. Now, Dr. Ore sent me no, not sent me. You posted something on Facebook, on social media this afternoon about somebody weighing 100 kilo, eating burger, eating this, blah, 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 blah. Everything that they shouldn't eat, they are eating. And though there is some vegetables there, but they are putting cream on top of it. And that's where most of your calorie and sugar is hiding. Now, if you have, let's say, a quarter slice of pizza, and the calorie you have in that one slice, I'm talking of one slice, I'm not talking of a full tray of pizza, you need to spend 1 hour 23 minutes to burn that calorie off. Just one slice of pizza. The same thing goes for your sandwich. So you need 1 hour 22 minutes to burn just that one sandwich that is made of just one slice of bread. You know, when they cut it into triangle, that's what you have in your chicken and bacon sandwich typically. Okay, and some of these fancy drinks that we drink, a mocha, you know, macchiato and all of those, if you want it, make your own, you know, the way you like. Make your own pizza, put vegetable in it, use cauliflower as your base, you know, make your own tomato sauce and don't put sugar in it. Okay, so let's leave that. There's just too much to say about that. That's about the effects or the type of food we choose. So you need to rethink your choice of food. That is what I'm trying to say here. And another thing is about, I put exercise on the lists, you know, of things that we need to do. So we can shift all these empty calorie. Your orange juice or your juice has calorie, but it's not empty because it's got some nutrients. But your Coca-Cola on the other hand, your Fanta, your whatever, it's just calorie. It's called empty calorie because it has no nutrients attached to it. So let's move on. We've talked about fruits. So one of the other things I was going to emphasize is make sure you find a way to do away with free sugar. You don't need no free sugar. Anything that has sugar added to it, please run away, because we're already eating enough sugar from the fruits we eat. And if people from Nigeria, Africa, India, or any developing country are watching this, and you are not taking anything else away from this, be sure that sugar is the number one thing that is feeding most of the chronic lifestyle disease that we are known for. And it's about time we change that destiny, that music, so it doesn't continue in the next generation and the generations to come. So in a nutshell, choose organic, because pesticide is another thing that is killing people. There's so many weird and wonderful diseases nowadays, you know, if it's not multiple sclerosis, is this, is that, this fatigue, that, you know, that even your traditional, your modern doctors, they don't know the answer to it. But the moment you begin to shift your thinking and your orientation about what you eat, and you change things around, people begin to get better. There is a doctor on Instagram, Dr. Terry Walls. I've signed up for one of professional webinar coming up in a few days. This lady, I'm sorry, I need to be blunt, was a vegetable in a wheelchair, a medical doctor in America, a top specialist, and she was vegetarian all her life. And you know what vegetarian eats? Vegetables, not just the type we're talking about, because they are missing the meat. I don't mean that they regret it. So they find other ways of eating meat. So you now have vegetarian meat, vegan meat, but a lot of them have been made with soya beans. And soya beans are grown with pesticide. You never see soya beans that is grown without pesticide. So, and glyphosate or pesticide or herbicide, they are neurotoxic, causing all these neurodegenerative diseases that we now have. And a research was done in this regard. It's not just words of mouth. They find out that many people with these diseases, dementia, Alzheimer's, were people that eat a lot of vegetables, but they were eating vegetables laden with pesticides. So choose organic. So go and look for Dr. Terry Walls, either on YouTube, or the moment you put Dr. Terry, it will come up. She is now living a full life. She got off the almost like a life support type of life. She's practicing fully now. She's an advocate for wellness, and she's even more of a lifestyle person. She's doing research every day. There's lots of researches in America that hasn't come this way or to Africa yet. Yet, we are living in the same world, in the same century, and let me say, people in developing countries don't even have resources to deal with all of these nasty diseases. So it's about time we begin to think about it. So another thing about the example of Dennis Bucket, Dr. Bucket, he now find out that, him and some other researchers find out that in the 60s, from the 60s, the Africans now begin to shift their orientation towards food. They're no longer eating their own cultural food. They're diversifying into processed food and everything. That's when they now begin to exhibit what he called Western diseases. All of these things, lifestyle-related diseases that we're talking about, they were like almost a taboo in developing countries before. But now, the developing country is now overtaking the advanced or Western country. It's almost like a competition that we break this glass ceiling of disease before you do. And it's about time we change the music. So now, if you live in diaspora, if you were born somewhere else in developing country, you've now moved away into Western nations, you are eating like Westerners, good luck. However, there is no difference between the way, actually there is vast difference, because there are information within reach of people living in Western culture. It's all about self-discipline now, and attitude and behavioral change towards doing the right thing. However, people in developing country, they are still embracing this westernization, this globalization, and the nutritional change or shift. And they think is their status, like I can afford it. When we were doing medical mission to and fro, and part of this data tells me that people are eating Scotch eggs every day. So in Scotch egg, well, not just Scotch egg, the egg is good, but what is binded with and wrapped up in, it's not good. You have all kinds of things around that. But imagine if you are eating that every day, or even that's on top of your meals, normal meals. Meat pie, which is pastry, and you have trans fat. Trans fat is something that you should never touch. If I die and they put trans fat in my mouth, I will wake up. Let's put it that way. So that's something that you shouldn't even be eating, let alone eating it every day. Now, a research in America, and this is like the one that blew me the most, and that's why I said, bring your children into this talk, because kids are smart. They are smarter than us, and they can be molded, they can make informed choice. And they can even be the light within the family and change things around. In America, when they've now found out that children are now having atherosclerosis, thickening of plaques within the artery. 8-year-old, 10-year-old who have just died from an accident. So they do autopsy on them and they find that their veins and their vessels are getting blocked up. And that's because of what we're feeding our kids, what they're eating. A child will only eat what you give them. That is the blunt truth. Okay, so let's take these few steps.
Can I interject a bit?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah, some questions are coming up.
Okay.
And I think it would be good if we could address some of those questions.
Okay. So the last thing here, I was just going to mention probiotics, and then we go to the questions. Is that okay?
All right, ma'am.
Okay. So probiotics, they are fermented food. They are for your gut health. You know, that's food. There's a research that shows that some women from some Eastern Europe, where they eat sauerkrauts. Sauerkraut is a fermented cabbage that they eat on daily basis, like a bowl of it every day. They have no record of breast cancer in that part of Europe just because of probiotics. Probiotics fight some battles within your gut. And as we've already said, all diseases start from the gut. So don't let us forget that. Whatever we're doing, we need to look after the gut. I think already done about 2 videos on probiotic, but I'm going to do another one from an African perspective angle. Okay, so these Eastern European now moved to Canada, and they now overtook the Canadian with breast cancer because they stopped eating their food, probiotic. Okay, so let's move on to the questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
That has been very detailed and very insightful. I know a lot of us are grappling with, the information, and that is evident from some of the questions that are coming up. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out the relevant ones and read them out.
Yeah.
I have a question here that says, what can you say about other sweeteners aside from sugar, aside from refined sugar? Is any one of them safe?
Okay, so if you pick up a product, let's say this is a kind of sweetener, even honey. I have honey in my cupboard because when you look at different colors in the food groups, honey is in the yellow group, anti-inflammatory, and that's the truth. The same for turmeric, it's a truth. So that's why part of what I should get to is eat a rainbow, different colors. But going to the honey or agave or stevia or whatever else, anything that you put in your mouth that is sweet is called glucose. So if you can do away with it, do away with it. I know some people who used to, when I was working in the hospital, acute medicine, one of my mates from South Africa, they would make a cup of tea for her, and she would turn the jar of sugar like this, almost like the tea is half, and she fills it up to the top with the sugar. By the time I've known this woman for 15-20 years, she wasn't putting any more sugar in her drinks. So those sweeteners, if you pick up a packaging and you see something that has O's, like we were saying, glucose, just look at it and see the amount of sugar that you have in it. If you can avoid it, avoid it. But if you're going to eat one, make sure it's one that has nutrients in it. That is my answer. Because I still put honey in some things every now and then. I had a drink before. I just put fresh lemon juice with hot water and I drank it, and it was delicious. So many ways to drink liquid without adding any sugar or any sweetener or mixing anything. You got ginger as well, to change the taste bud, to make it palatable more, because we're used to, our brain are conditioned to sweet things. So when you begin to cut it down, you won't miss it again. Okay? I hope that answers the question.
Yes. I believe so, ma'am.
Okay.
Can the portion of food be explained in terms of rice, beans, amala, food portions? I think people are having a problem with that.
Yeah.
How much amala can I take?
Okay.
How much beans, how much rice can I take?
Okay. So
what is a portion of
a portion of
rice or amala? Or
okay. So generally speaking, Carbohydrates, there are portion sizes that you can have. Okay, so for instance, let me go straight to the point. The equivalent of your carbohydrate that you can have, let's just make it as blanket now for those of us that like swallows, Let's start from there. The size of your fist, that is the portion sizes. There are some visual guides and visual aids to help people understand and appreciate portion sizes. So rice, if I tell you that the portion according to what is recommended, and of course, because as we said, carbohydrate equals glucose, glucose equals sugar. So the less you eat, the better. So the recommended portion sizes of rice is 3 portions, and that is 75 grams of cooked rice and 6 tablespoonfuls. 6 of this in the portion of your rice. Okay? However, if you look at the eat well plate from before, you have the rice portion, you have your protein, you have your vegetables. So your vegetables should, or your non-starchy carbohydrate should be what is more in your plate rather than the rice and the swallows. So if you want to think about it like in case of yam as well, you have 4 small new potatoes in terms of the size. Those are like the size of an egg. Two portions. Those are 4 of them, 4 potatoes. 2 small, the one they call Irish potato back at home. The size of an egg, 4 of them is the portion. If you eat noodles, as I think has become a thing now in the Black culture, noodles, 1 block, just 1 block like this of noodles, that's 1 portion, and that's all you can have in terms of noodles. And pizza bread, when you have a pizza bread that you open like Chihuahua or Shimama or something like that, you have 1 of those at any given time. And your bread for your toast, 2 slices, that's all. 2 slices, not a whole loaf of bread with 22 slices in it. Okay, so, and a sandwich as well, the same thing goes for that. Just 2 slices of bread for your sandwich in terms of carbohydrates. And the most shocking one, obviously, could be the rice and the swallow. But your breakfast cereals, for people who eat breakfast cereals, I don't even know why you are eating it anyway. If you know the story behind those cereals, you will drop them fast. Why can't you have some stir-fried vegetable with chicken or salmon for your breakfast? So let's change our behaviors. 9 tablespoonful is 3 portions that you can have of your breakfast cereals. The same thing goes for your pasta. When you put pasta in the pan, when it's cooked, 9 of this is what you can have. I hope that answers the question a little bit. So the one you can have the most of, your non-starchy carbohydrates, you can put your broccoli, your cauliflower, your peas, to make the bulk, to replace your carbohydrate basically, and you reduce the size of those swallows. You can have a bowl of okra, a bowl of ewedu. You can have ugu with spinach or egun oregano or efo tete or any of those green leaves. Cook them together, and please don't shy away. Use palm oil. Don't use any of this new age oil, because some of these oil were only brought in to discredit the good things that we have in our culture. Your grandmother, my great-grandmother, I never see them cook with any other oil. And none of them died before they are well into their 80s and 90s. In fact, my husband's grandmother was 102, chopping her own woods, walking down to church and everywhere at that age. And she was cooking the local food, eating it. of course, there are other factors related to the way we are in our generation. Stress is a major part of it, but that's not food related. Of course, it's contributory to lifestyle related diseases, because constant exposure to stress, drops your immunity, and you can be susceptible to all kinds of these lifestyle diseases, cancer inclusive, COVID also. Is it any wonder that many Black people, die from COVID? We are under constant stress. If it's not to make ends meet, working 2-3 jobs in diaspora, or lack of amenities back in from where we're from, watching over your shoulder, is anybody going to arrest you, or your kids, are they going to do well? All the layer of extra stress that other ethnic minority do not entertain. We take them on board as if they were normal. It's about time we change that music, because they're making us heal. Okay, so I hope that answered the pardon?
Yes, ma. How about frying? Somebody's asking about the methods of food preparation.
Yes.
Boiling, stewing, as against roasting and frying.
Okay, so the method of cooking you choose will determine the outcome of that food. For instance, when you boil yam, or you fry yam, or you pound yam, or you roast yam, they are all yam, but they come out in different consistency. The stickier it is, the higher the sugar content. So if you, for instance, going to cook yam now, put it in a colander and put water in a pot and stick the colander in the pot and steam your yam, rather than frying it all the time. Boil your plantain and boil the semi-ripe plantain rather than the fully ripe yummy sweet, because you are ingesting just sugar. So frying is something that we should do less of. And I have to say that that's very, very common in our culture. It's best to just boil your stew, boil your meat. Just cook them straight in the pan with some water, some whatever spices you put. Add some oil. Olive oil is perfect, it's good, but don't use it for frying. And there are certain oil that you should never fry with. So less frying, more boiling. So roasted yam has more higher glycemic index than the boiled yam. And pounded one has higher, because it's now changed the structure, and the consistency of the yam is now very sticky, and that increases the glycemic index, which is basically the way your body processes the sugar that food turn into in your body. Is it shooting up your blood sugar and back down like a yo-yo? And that's why whatever you're choosing in any of these carbohydrates, make sure you choose whole grain. Whole grain. The less processed, the better. If your food, you plant it and uproot it straight, that is the best. Grow it, organic, cook it, eat it, and repeat the process.
Thank you, ma. The questions are still coming. I want to crave our indulgence to stay till about 8 p.m. for us to round up at 8 p.m. so that we can address all the questions, because I know that this is a very sensitive aspect of our daily living. So somebody is asking, what about portion sizes for children and teenagers? Is it different or is it the same? And then maybe in addition to that, so that you just take it all together, our children feel bad when we refuse to take them to a fast food center. What can we do to let them understand that it's not ideal or good for them?
Okay, so portion sizes for children can be the same, because I think some kids eat more than I do, because I can only feel what my tummy can take. So I should think that children should just eat what they can eat. However, if your kid is eating too much, you will know, especially if a child is already getting overweight or obese. Okay, so that's one about the portion sizes. Number two, let me answer that second question with this, which is part of my summary. Obesity takes 7 to 14 years of your life, and it speeds up your aging process at the cellular level. You get old age disease earlier because your organs are aging fast. Therefore, it shortens your life. Cardiovascular diseases like stroke, high blood pressure, diabetes, and other neurodegenerative diseases, and cancer are now rampant as a result of people going to those places, fast food joints, and eating junk. As I said before, if you carry on feeding your kids with that, they'll think it's normal. They think it's okay. When I had my babies, I breastfed them for 2 years and 4 months each. That child cannot charge me to court and say, I'm your child, you fed me, breastfed me. Your child will eat what you give it. Imagine if you have to go and rob a bank to be able to afford that. What are you going to do then? You give your child what is right. And that's why I said children also need to listen to this, because if they are eating that way, they are going to become obese, and that will cut short their life. And remember, in America, that statistics that children are already developing, what was once old age disease, cardiovascular risk was increasing in children, but they only find out after that kid has died from an injury and perform an autopsy, and they begin to see all of this amongst children. Children are the future. Children are the face of the black race. As I said, if you eating well now, especially if you're of childbearing age, because you're going to pass down your DNA, your gene, if they are faulty, you're going to pass it down to your children, and then it carries on. The mutation carries on from generation to generation. Let's break that curse and let our children become the champion of lifestyle and healthy eating habit. So, and because these children, they get carried from home into a car to school and ferry back, they're not really using the calorie, it stays in their body. And calorie, the body translates it into fat. Even your glucose, when the body has used what it needs, your excess glucose gets stored as fat. And it gets stored into dangerous places like your tummy, the midsection, the Michelin tire. And that is the beginning of the metabolic syndrome. And you see a lot of children nowadays with this. I'm sure they've got a lot of role models in the beauty world and celebrities. They want to look beautiful and all of that. They're not going to be that if they are eating junks. And that is the honest truth. Don't give it to them. They're going to eat what is right when they are hungry.
Thank you so much, Ma. In addition to what our speaker has said, there's a saying, catch them young. We say it all the time. Even when people come into the universities, the people from various clubs and societies, they go around looking for the jambites, the newcomers, and they want to catch them. In the same way, we can catch our children young. I recently marketed a book about healthy eating for children, healthy habits for children. If we teach a child the way they should go, when they are old, they will not depart from it.
Absolutely.
So it's just a matter of choice. And I like what someone has written here. He said, I educate my 6-year-old son by sharing my fruits and veggie portions with him, and make him understand that they are more healthy. Once they understand this fact and enjoy the healthy foods, they will naturally crave for it. And for a long time, my son has stopped asking me to buy spiced fast foods.
And that's our answer. Yeah. I was looking at that just as you were reading it. That's our answer there. Train a child in the way he should go. And when he's old, he will not depart from it. So I'm just going to give you my rounding up so you can carry on with whatever is next. The summary is this. Food is the most powerful tool we have to take control of our health. And choosing the wrong food can lead us down a road of chronic diseases. Why choosing the right one can prevent illness or even cure it. So keep your weight down. And I also want to suggest that if you're not getting either that bowl of green leafy vegetable every day, you might need to take supplement, because your micronutrient need to come from somewhere. And if that is the case, especially also if you don't eat oily fish, that might not be a problem in developing country where mackerel, but again, is your mackerel pure? Is a found with all kinds of additives and or whatnot, the equivalent of pesticide? What is your fish eating before you eat it? All of those also come into it, and that's why I said eat organic, pasture raised, preferably wild caught fish. So if you're not eating salmon, mackerel, herring, sardines, those oily fish, then omega-3, you might be lacking in omega-3, which is also very, very important in controlling your inflammation and subsequently some of these diseases that we're talking about. So your vitamin K2, your vitamin D3, if you have access, go and do your nutritional analysis blood tests and know what your levels are. And if you're lacking in some of these keywords, magnesium is my number one, and some of you have seen me on social media. I got my groove, my mojo, I play lawn tennis, I walk miles now, and I was healed in bed before, but I started drinking the magnesium as well. I'm not going to lie, I'm taking supplements, though I'm eating these green leaves by the buckets. I tell you that. So that is basically, and I have a prediction, and I hope and I pray it doesn't come to pass. I haven't read this prediction anywhere. It's just from everything else. I've read my research and everything. And what I see in general practice, nowadays, you see people with what is called IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. When you feel bloated, you are farting and passing gas, or you have a burning sensation up your chest, you have either constipation or diarrhea or a bit of both. So we see almost every day, more than, I can't even say how many cases I see every day in my clinical practice. And alas, about 10 years ago, I had that brainwave. I'm talking of 10 years because each time I see people with symptoms of IBS, when they are on omeprazole or something like that, or lansoprazole or pantoprazole, one of those PPIs for people who are doctors there, they are also on antidepressants. So they either have depression or anxiety. And that's because, as our forefather of medicine said, every disease starts from the gut. So there's what is called your gut-brain axis. There is a direct link, a network between your tummy and your brain. So if you're not eating that probiotic I said before, there is a long list of probiotics. Actually, it's not long, but there's enough to choose from. You can make your own if you want. Go and watch some of my YouTube videos and you will see indication of probiotics almost everywhere because they are very important. So I begin to see these people with IBS symptom and antidepressants. So my prediction is that IBS is going to become one of these lifestyle related diseases. It will be added onto the list. I give you maybe 10 years at the most. The rate at which these are going. And the main factor? Sugar. Because sugar feeds the bad bacteria in your gut. And if you're not replacing those with good bacteria, which you get in probiotics, you have all of those symptoms of IBS. And it's pure and simple and it's easy to treat. Within a week, I have good results in clinical practice without even giving any medication. I've had a 32-year-old mother of 3 before who came through the door and I said, please do this for me. Go get this, go get this. On your way, go straight to the supermarket and get kefir and start drinking a sip, 2 sips, and then drink as much as you want when you get used to it. And she came back for follow-up the following week, and she's scared. She's like, oh, Grace, even my children are drinking it. That yogurt is fantastic. It's fermented. Any food that is fermented has got probiotic. So my last prediction, one of the two, is what is called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Fatty liver disease. Your fat is one of the organs, the most important, maybe even more important than the heart. Because all processing of whatever goes in your mouth goes through your liver. It's synthesizing, it's producing this, and your fat also goes in your liver to be synthesized. So sugar also, when it gets fermented in the body, it intoxicates your liver, as if your liver is drunk, as if you were drunk. Because when you ferment something, it changes to alcohol. So, but it's only in those days that people have fatty liver disease, only if they're alcoholics. But nowadays, people who are teetotaler, people who do not drink alcohol at all, are having this problem. Okay, so, and all of this is stemming back into what we're eating, glucose, especially going back to glucose. So I predict that that is also going to join the lifestyle diseases if we don't change the way we go. And I was gobsmacked when one of my girls back in Nigeria graduated from a baking, cake making business school. And on the table, they had about, maybe, let me exaggerate a bit, maybe 100 people graduating. And they all made the same cake for demonstration to pass the course. And I said, so what is going to happen to this cake? What are you doing? He said, oh, people are already booking it. They are going to buy it. Not for weddings, not for birthdays, not for anything. But people now order cakes in Nigeria. I'm talking of celebratory cakes that has icing on it. They will now cut it, piece by piece every day, giving these cakes to their children to take to school as snacks. If your kid is eating that every day, he or she is already dying inside. And it won't be long before they begin to exhibit all of these lifestyle-related diseases. So let's rethink our food. Thank you for listening. God bless.
Wow, please, if you can clap, if you can send a clap on, I'm not sure whether we have that function.
I can see people clapping already, so thank you.
Yes, yes. We are so grateful. This was so insightful. Such a loaded presentation, someone is saying. We are so happy to have been part of this discussion. We have gained so much. Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma.
You're welcome.
And people have sent in their emails so that they can get the recording once it is ready. We really want to appreciate you, Ma, for taking your time to prepare for this presentation. We know that this is your passion. This is something that you do every day, and you speak it, you walk it, you live it. And we have not attended this session in vain. So it's already 8 o'clock. We want to thank everyone for staying with us. Thanks for your attention. You've been such a pleasant audience, and everybody has practically stayed to the end. So we are very, very grateful and thankful to you.
Thank you.
And I've shared our blog site with you so that you can catch up with some of the articles that we share. We share articles about healthy living, healthy choices, and I've also shared our YouTube channel as well. Mrs. Grace Adobuke also has a YouTube channel where she shares wonderful, healthy dishes that she prepares. So I think if you can share your handle here, Ma, before you go.
Okay.
So that people can take note of this.
Okay.
I think with that, we can close the session for tonight. Just to say that Lifestyle Champions International, we organize webinars every other month, just to ensure that we bring home the message of lifestyle medicine to prevent lifestyle-related diseases. So we'll be having another webinar in 2021. Since you have sent your emails to us, we'll be passing information along to you. And I know that you'll be happy to be part of us, and we'll be able to call you a lifestyle champion. So thanks once again. I don't know if Dr. Adegoke has any closing remarks for us, our chairman. He has been busy at work, so he was actually listening from the clinic. Hello, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ori. Well done, and thank you to our guest speaker today, who happens to be my wife. I hear all those don't eat that every day, and it has helped. So people see me and they say, you are looking young. That's the secret behind it. So it's very important for us to keep the question coming. I think the channel is open. You can ask us anytime. I wish you a good Christmas, because I don't think we will have one before Christmas. But remember, as you eat your Christmas meal, remember portion sizes, remember the importance of keeping things moderate. Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So let me just quickly read out my handle, because I don't want to go off this screen to cut and paste it. I'm trying to type it in, but let me just read it out. So if you can hear it, then I will finish typing it and you can copy it from here. Is www.youtube.com/Gracie's Food Healthy Lifestyle. So if you just put Grace Ronke Adegoke on YouTube, I'm sure you will find me. And make sure there is only one of me called Grace Ronke Adegoke. So, and you can also find me on Facebook, and you can become my friend, and then I can then give you a direct link to other things that I do. Or if you have any one-to-one question, because that's part of my mission, to make a difference in what I'm doing. It was only a few weeks ago, one of my patients found me on social media and said, "Oh, Grace, thank you so much for helping me with that dreaded IBS. I'm now better. I hope you don't mind me finding you here, to tell you this." I'm like, "Oh, be my guest." So it's very encouraging to know that what we do works, and if we can change our attitude and orientation, it will work. It doesn't matter how far you've gone. Even if you have cancer or your family member has cancer, let them stop eating all of those sugary sugar. Doesn't matter whether you've added sugar, but any of those, as I said, you know it now. So thank you for listening, guys. God bless you.
Thank you so much once again, Ma. Thanks to our wonderful audience. Don't forget to open your emails. You're going to be getting something in your emails. Thanks once again. You can unmute yourself to say good night, so that we can just hear your wonderful voices before you go. You can just unmute yourself. If you wish to unmute yourself, please do so we can hear your voice.
So thank you, everyone. I can see different people from different places turning up tonight.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And all my babies. I can hear some young voices. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
I see you all. Thank you so much. Thank you for turning up tonight. Let's make it count. Let's make the change.
Thank you, Ma, for being here. Mrs. Adebamao. Thank you. Dr. Elite. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Makinde. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Sister Ore. Good to see you. How is Demi doing? I hope everyone is fine. Good, good. I'm proud of what you're doing. Well done. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Oh. So we come to the end of the Zoom program. So many people on tonight, and I'm grateful for that because a lot of preparation went into this, and it was such I hope a useful session for people. An hour, over an hour program, and lots of questions still coming through. So thank you guys. I'm going to post this one on my YouTube channel, and as I said, I'm going to do some bite-sized chunks of these topics that we have talked about tonight. So thank you guys. Mwah. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.